All right, guys, let's knock out this review video, get you ready for tomorrow. First one says solve algebraically. So the best way to do this one is to go ahead and just move that 9 over. And if I move that 9 over, that becomes, let's see, 45 minus 9, which is 36. Divide by the 4, that is 9. And then take the square root of both sides. And when you take the square root of both sides here, don't forget your plus or minus sign. And the square root of 9 is 3. And that's all there is to it. Number 2 says solve by factoring. So I'm looking for factors of 18 that add up to be 9. Of course, those are 6 and 3. Now, don't forget to write your answer. That's awesome that you factored it, but you got to tell me what x equals. And x is whatever makes the parentheses 0. So one answer is -6, the other answer is -3. Number 3, when you're solving this one algebraically, you're going to try to factor first. I don't know if it'll work, but we're going to give it a shot. So I'm going to move the 5 over to the other side. So 2x squared minus 3x minus 5 is 0. I'm going to try slide divide slide. So I'm going to slide the 2 over there. 5 times 2 is 10. It's looking pretty good, actually. Factor that x minus 5, x plus 2. If I would not have factored right there, if I could not have factored that when I tried the slide divide slide, I would have gone back to the original problem and done like quadratic formula. Okay, so now that's the slide part. Don't forget the divide. We're going to divide by the same 2. And to be honest, you can stop right there and see what your answers are. What makes the first parenthesis 0 is positive 5/2. The second one, that 2 over 2 is really 1. So what is the opposite of 1? -1. And there you have it. All right, 4, 5, and 6 are complex numbers, some operations with them. The first one is just addition. And because it's addition, you can just add straight across. So I'm going to add the 4 and the 5. The 7 and -7i, they just cancel, so you just get 9. That was pretty weird. Pretty easy. Okay, number 5. 5 is straight up FOIL method. So going first, which is going to be -7, outer, -3i, inside, -35i, and last, -15i squared. I squared, remember, is really -1, which is going to make that number, that term right there, a positive 15. So I'm going to add the positive 15 to the -7. -7 plus 15 is 8. And I'm also going to combine the 3 and the 35 and make it -38i. All right, number 6. 6, these are conjugates, remember? So you can just do first, last if you want to. Actually, I guess it's really 4. I don't know if we've done conjugate. I don't think we've done that yet. So, actually, we have. So going conjugates here. So first, last, I'm going 4 times 4 is 16 minus 9i squared. You don't have to do the OI because if you did the outer inner, they would cancel anyway. I squared is really -1, which makes that -9 become +9. And 16 plus 9, 25. Let's see what we got now. Now it says solve equations algebraically. Again, now these, because we just got finished with the imaginary number section, these are going to have imaginary answers, i's in your answer. So first step, let's move the 48 over, make it -48. And now I'm ready already. Just take the square root of both sides. And don't forget, when you take a square root, you got to have plus or minus. The first thing I'm doing is taking out the I. That makes that positive. And I got to break down the 48. Now, you could use 8 and 6. You could use 4 and 12. But if you do that, you're going to have to keep breaking them down. The best thing you can use is the biggest perfect square root, which is 16. That goes into 48. Square root of 16 is 4. It comes out. The 3, I don't know. I can't do anything with that. So it stays in. And there's your answer. Number 8. Same kind of problem. Let's move everything over. So I'm taking the 8 across first. That becomes a -64. If I divide by 8, I get -8. And now same deal. Take the square root of both sides. Again, for the third time, don't forget your plus or minus sign. Take out an I. That leaves square root of 8. And you can break down 8 using a 4 and a 2. The square root of 4 is 2. And the square root of 2, I can't do anything with that. I'm stuck with that. So I'm leaving it inside. And there's 8. Number 9 is, now we're starting the review section. It just says factor. This is obviously slide, divide, slide. So I'm going to slide the 3. I'm going to keep giving you these because this is a big deal. I need you to remember how to factor these like forever. So I'm thinking about what factors of 21 give me 22. And I'm thinking 21 and 1. Now don't stop there. So many people stop right there. Remember, slide, divide, slide. So we slid the 3. Now we got to divide by 3. Now because it says factor, it doesn't say solve, you need to finish up here. So 21 divided by 3 is 7. The second parentheses, I'm going to slide the 3 back in front of the x. That's what's called slide, divide, slide. Now, if I were you, tomorrow I would take that answer right there. I would do FOIL just to double check and make sure your answer, when you do FOIL, you get the same thing we started with. All right, number 10, it's been a while here. Okay, a lot of stuff. This is vertex form already. If I were you, I would draw a little graph. You don't have to graph it, but man, it becomes so much easier if you do. So I'm gonna go right 5, up 1. There's my vertex right there. And because the 2's positive, it opens up. So the parabola, all you need is a rough sketch. You don't need the exact picture. You just need a rough sketch. Okay, now, first question is max or min. Which one does it have? It has a minimum. Now, you got to tell me what the minimum is also. Okay, the minimum is at the vertex, and the minimum or the maximum is always the y-coordinate. What's the y-coordinate right there? 1 is. Okay, so make sure not only do you circle the right one, but you tell me what the max or min value is. Domain, every parabola goes left and right forever, so it's all reals. The range goes back to this. Remember, range is the y. It touches the 1, it goes from 1, then it goes up forever, so I'm going there. Next two answers, increasing, decreasing. It's increasing from there to there. That's where it's increasing, right? I just drew that red right there. So it's increasing from, now, when you do increasing, remember, use x's. Increasing and decreasing, I can't talk. Increasing, decreasing, use x's only because we're looking at the graph from left to right, and that's how the axis goes. So it's increasing from 5 to forever. And on the increasing, decreasing, I will let you get away with either parentheses or bracket. I'm sorry about that ugly parentheses right there. It's decreasing right here, forever until it gets to the 5. So it's decreasing from negative infinity until it gets to 5. And again, bracket or parentheses on that one, I'm fine with either. All right, number 11. We've done a bunch of these by now. It says solve by elimination. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. Trying to figure out which is the easiest one to get rid of. It looks like to me if I multiply the top by 3, that will give me a negative 3y above the positive 3y, which I like. So my first equation is going to be 12x minus 3y, and 9 times 3 is 27. I'm just going to bring the second equation straight over, and I can just add those equations together. Those are gone. Over here I have 14x. Over here I've got 42. The cool thing is 14 just happens to go into 42 3 times. Okay, so there's my x. Now you're not done. All right, don't forget, you got to go back and plug that in. It doesn't matter which one you plug it in. I'm going to plug it in the top because it looks a little easier. Okay, so I'm going to plug 4 times 3 is 12, minus y is 9. Move the 12 over there. Becomes negative 3. Divide by negative 1, I get 3. So they're both 3. So my x and y, 3, 3. One more. Number 12. Now, the key word in 12 that you got to make sure you read very carefully is that word right there. It says write the equation of the line that passes through the point 41 and it's perpendicular to that line. Now, the slope of this line right here is 1/4, which is what I need. But remember, you're not going to use 1/4 because it's perpendicular. We're going opposite reciprocal, which is the reciprocal is 4. The opposite would be -4. So there's my slope, and there's my point. Point slope, in case you forgot, looks just like this. I'm about to plug everything in that equation. So my y coordinate's 1. I'm going y minus 1. The slope is -4. The x coordinate's 4. Putting it there. Now it's going to take you 2 steps. First step, let's distribute the 4 like that. Second step, let's move the 1 over, and I get 17. Now, if you want to double check that real quick, you should be able to take the 0.41 and plug it in, and it should work. Also, what should happen is your slope, obviously, your slope should be -4. So long as you can check real quick and make sure both those are accurate, you're good. All right, hope that helps. I think you got a great chance tomorrow to have a great test score. I'm cheering for you. See you tomorrow.